Good morning, everybody. This is Charlene Burke with Grow Because You Know. That's www.growbecauseyouknow.com. Welcome to Morning Mindset Cafe, where we discuss bits and pieces of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. And the discussion is in the live stream as well as in the comment area. Today, we're talking about a portion of Chapter 2, pages 38 to 51, which are those pages in the book that I'm reading. But the focus of the writing is harnessing, get that, harness the power of desire. And one of the things that I liked, which is at the bottom of one of the pages, page 38, is relation to Copernicus. The world worshipped at his feet, basically, and proved this statement that success requires no apologies, failure permits no alibis. I like that, because what that tells me is that it just is. You know, I'm not striving for success for accolades, and for nor am I striving to success in order to feel guilty about being successful. And along the way, failure occurs and is to be accepted as just that, temporary defeat, temporary. No alibis, no excuses. It just is. Let's learn from it and move forward. Good morning, Omar. So that's at the beginning of the reading. That's just at the beginning. Then we talk about what is it we dream of? How do we harness that dream, turn it into a real solid desire, and become committed to it? And so example after example are given throughout the reading of Abraham Lincoln dreaming of freedom for slaves, Whalen dreaming of a chain of cigar stores, Thomas Edison dreamed of a lamp could be operated by electricity. Wright brothers dreamed of a machine that would fly through the air. You know, they dreamed of it. And how do we harness that dream and turn it into an all-consuming, highly focused desire? That's what I'm getting out of the reading, is that we can do that. We absolutely can do that. Let's see here. It begins with belief, right? Belief that it can happen, that no dream is too big. And we're going to go back to that statement that nothing's impossible. No dream is too big. So the first is that there is a belief that it really can happen. That's what I'm seeing. Then the second one is that we take that belief, and instead of it being a wish, we turn it into a burning desire. Right? This is really, really what I want. There are no limitations. This is the dream I have, and this is what I want. And then taking that and add a spot of faith to it. Desire backed by faith. All right. Room is open. Anybody wants to jump in and start discussing harnessing that power of desire? Or it starts with belief. Oh, maybe it starts with the dream. We start with the dream. And then we believe that the dream can become reality, and we turn that belief into the desire. Good morning, Sam. Good to see you. And we back it up with faith, with the realization that, and the faith that it's not impossible. It is possible, and it will happen. You know, he relays the story in here, he being Napoleon Hill, about his own child. I thought, yes, that he desired for his own son that he not be deaf-mute, and eventually he wasn't. But in the meantime, his son adjusted to the world around him and could enjoy music, could enjoy sound by using other parts of his body to enjoy sound or to participate and experience sound. So he knew something was there. So between the two of them, you have Napoleon Hill saying that this dream that I have will be a reality. I believe it can happen, where my son will not be a deaf mute. And then you have the son saying that I have a keen desire to hear and to be normal. And that combination put them both in position for opportunities and to see those opportunities for the desire to come true. We know what I found interesting is that it took both of them. And I'm going to go back to what I'm seeing in all of us is that by myself, I can think a lot of things. It's the doing part that's difficult. It's difficult to back it with faith. But when I have somebody else that is sharing either their own difficulties or their own dream and desire and belief, and they have the faith, I can kind of borrow theirs for mine for a while. And then, of course, always the idea that I'm surrounded by people who believe in me, so that it's no longer my standing out by myself, but I actually have somebody giving me support. I find that to be very, very helpful. Room's open. Anybody wants to jump in and participate in the discussion? Seat is available for you. Whatever it is that you want to discuss related to harnessing that power of desire.
I love that quote from Copernicus that you just read.
Good morning, Brian. Yes, it's very intense, isn't it?
Yeah,
it should be. I'm thinking it might be up on my wall.
It will be.
Well, it's not a quote by Copernicus. It is. It's in the book, and it says, "Instead, the world worshipped at his shrine, thus proving once more." This is Napoleon Hill saying, "Success requires no apologies. Failure permits no alibis." Yeah. Unless you know it to be by Copernicus elsewhere.
I like it.
I like it too.
I'm looking for it.
Well, I've got the PDF up there, right? If that's helpful. Yeah, and you've got your
Kindle.
Anybody else want to jump in? We've got 2 more seats here. Anybody who wants to jump in and participate in the discussion? So after that, we have a burning desire to be and to do is the starting point from which the dreamer must take off. So we have the dream, and then we turn it into a burning desire to be and to do. Then we have the belief behind that. What do you think? What are your thoughts? Do you need coffee?
Yeah, I do. Say that again.
Well, it was really good when I had it in front of me.
I'm still for the first quote.
A burning desire to be and to do is the starting point from which the dreamer must take off. Dreams are not born of indifference, laziness, or lack of ambition.
I agree. I mean, everything starts with the thought, and the thought becomes a dream, and the dream becomes...
The dream turns into that burning desire that Napoleon Hill's been trying to teach us about, right?
Yeah.
Am I right? Okay. So how do we harness that? Because there's a lot of energy, right? When we get really excited. How do we turn that wishing for something to happen and to being ready to receive it? Because that's another thing that happens with us. It's happened in my own experience coming out of that survival mode, is that I'm now willing to receive. And that's made a big difference. I can see it in my bank account, quite honestly. You know? So instead of just wishing something to happen, I now am ready to receive, and it's because, and he says it in here, the state of mind must be belief, not mere hope or wish. So there's a difference between wishing for a thing and being ready to receive it. No one is ready for a thing until he believes he can acquire it. And that is, I'm wholeheartedly behind that.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Mm-mm.
It's the foundation of a habit.
Okay.
A habit starts at an action. It gets repeated. It then gets repeated again, which becomes a lifestyle. And that lifestyle then becomes a demand, which is a habit. So, do you have good habits or bad habits, and you decide.
So you decide by your own thoughts and your own actions, right?
Yeah.
Or you can make the decision to be different and change your thoughts and actions accordingly, because everything begins with thought.
That's the premise of addiction counseling, is this is your fault. You've got to take responsibility. You started it.
Right.
And,
well, it's the premise of anything here, that if I want to change something, I have to acknowledge that this is who I am and what I'm doing. And if I take responsibility for who I am and what I'm doing, only then can I take responsibility and have the power to change it. Otherwise, by continuing to point my finger at somebody else, I'm still giving you the power to change it. I can't do a darn thing if I still think it's all your fault that I'm sitting where I'm sitting. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Making sure we're on the same page.
No, and it speaks to my situation. I can't blame really anybody.
This is where you are. This is how life is at the moment, and making decisions to change it. So let's see here. So how can we harness and use that power of desire? That's near the end of the chapter, and he's talking about all those stories in those pages between 38 and 51. People who had the dream, mixed it with a little belief, a lot of belief, some faith, and then some action. And it became their definite purpose. I'm just kind of rambling here. What do you think? So how do I harness that?
I'm not sure.
Okay. So I think one of the ways to do it is to recognize that I want it to be my burning desire, that I don't want it to be a wish, and I want it to become a reality. I have faith that it is going to be a reality. It will be. It will happen. So I have the belief now, and I have the faith backed of it, and then I have an open mind that says I'm ready to see the opportunities that will help me to make it happen. And from there, where do we go from there? So I've got the opportunities. And I'm looking at them. I believe that it's going to happen, so I'm willing to take the action that the opportunities put in front of me to make it happen. So to harness, sounds to me like to harness that power of desire requires focus. It becomes the priority.
Yep.
It becomes more important than some of the well, Cindy and I were kind of talking about what we were calling shiny objects, those things that can easily distract us.
Becomes more important than the alternative.
There you go.
There
you go. It has to be more important. Pick one thing. One of the most difficult things for new business owners, non-traditional business owners, those especially who are online, one of the most difficult things is to be very, very targeted in their marketing. And it's because they're afraid they're going to miss out on customers because their message really does belong to more than one target. But the alternative is, and most of us have to learn it ourselves, by not focusing, we're diluting the message that we have, and we're reducing the number of customers we could have had. So you look back over the experience, and if for the past year, or I actually had this conversation with a woman yesterday, if over the past 2 years you had focused on your original target market, where would you be right now? And to be honest about it, I'm not the one providing the answer, she is, right? Just a question posed to you. Compared to what you did over the past 2 years, which was change your mind, but actually I'm going to go after that target market, but I'm also going to be talking to these 4 others.
Well, you could do landing pages, which would allow you to grasp the non-target market, but your main focus can be from the main page of your website. And I'm talking.
You're in business for 3 years, and you're about to go under.
Yep.
So you don't do the multiple landing pages. You focus your attention on the one target, and that's going to be the focus until that works. And then you bring in the other segments. That's what I was trying to get her to think. And that's my thought. And that's the way I see it. Because had she focused where she was, because it was a profitable niche, she would have been in a position to say, well, okay, now I've got this solid customer base. Now I can go elsewhere. I'm only going by my own experience.
No.
My initial focus was in manufacturing, got that solid, and then I went into wellness marketing for those in the wellness arena and got a base of customers from there. And then I went into another target in services. And had I not done that, I wouldn't have made any money in those first couple of years. And that was right at the beginning of the recession. So that's what I'm seeing here is what I may be completely off. Please tell me if I am. What I'm seeing here is that in order to harness that desire for what I've identified as a dream, I've turned it into a desire because it's a belief and I'm backing it with faith. And now I have that energy and I need to harness it. I'm going to focus my energies and attention on the one thing rather than dilute it with 4 or 5, 6 other things.
That's the absolute key word is focus. If
okay.
you focus, you lose your target. I used to shoot competitively.
Well, that's where I was just going to go with it. I used to shoot. Focus. Yep. You're going to be off in the 6 ring here if you're not careful. 9X's doesn't mean anything when you've got, the other targets are suddenly 6 and 5s.
Talk to anybody that's done sniper training and they'll tell you about focus.
Mm-hmm. And the same. Mm-hmm. It's true. The same applies on the pool table on any sport. It applies to everything. I can apply it. I can see it. And one thing, I don't know why it keeps coming back. I do know why it keeps coming back. I'm being drawn to be playing piano again. And so what I did was I started going through all my sheet music and seeing what is it that I want to work on. When I say back to playing, I piddle a bit to keep the fingers limber, and I can sit down and play a few pieces. But what is it that I want to work on so that I can nail it? And so I was going through the sheet music and said, this would be it. So what that means is that I would have the warm up, but then the focus is going to be on learning that piece. If I do that, then I'm going to learn the piece and I'm going to be very comfortable with playing it when I've put forth the effort and the focus. If I choose that and decide while I'm learning that piece, I'm going to take a break and play something else and maybe learn another piece alongside it. It's going to take me 3 times longer to really learn it. And even then, I'm not going to be as comfortable as if I focused my attention just on the one piece.
The arts community is a lot of fun because it allows you for the diversity. I have a friend that goes into the public schools and teaches the arts, performing arts, like piano, like acting. He's an actor, and he ran into a student that was having a problem with piano because they wanted to play one music, and the teachers and everything are saying, play classical, play this, play Beethoven. I don't want to play Beethoven. I want to play rock. And so Jonathan said, well, combine them. So she took a Beethoven piece and then broke off on it into a rock.
Oh, absolutely. That's why I love Alicia Keys.
And then brought it back to the classical. Did that for a concert and got a huge standing ovation.
Absolutely. Because it touches so many people. Alicia Keys and Billy Joel are very, very good at that.
And even doing worship music. 90% of worship music today from our churches are classical piece. They have those elements in it. They have all time periods of music. And if you understand music, you'll understand.
But if you get that as your core, then it's easy to deviate from it because you have the technique and the knowledge at the core. It's like my husband. He didn't think he liked classical music until he heard me play something. And then he said, why do I know that? And I just laughed. I said, Bugs Bunny. And then all of a sudden he started paying attention to all the music that was describing the stories of all the cartoons, right? In the background. He says, good night. They're all classical. I said, yeah, they are. You grew up with it and didn't even know it. How's that for music appreciation? Anyway, so I think we're on the same page, right, Brian? That we pick something that we want to succeed at, and that becomes the focus. And anything that supports that desire is allowed in. But I think, I'm going to go back one more, and he doesn't really say that in this particular chapter, but once we make the decision that that is what the burning desire is, and that is going to take my focus, then is where it becomes less difficult, much easier to discern that which is going to be helpful or harmful in my reaching my ultimate purpose, like I say, my major definite purpose, which of course I read this morning, because he told me to, and I know it's working. So make the decision. This is what I'm going to do. This is my burning desire. And I'll be able to recognize the things that are going to be helpful and not be the shiny objects. That was so helpful, Cindy, yesterday. That was so helpful when you were in here sharing what you were sharing. Got me to thinking even more, am I still doing that? And I am. And it was a good reminder for me to take a look at something else, because I was having difficulty understanding, so it's all about self-awareness. And I was trying to understand why I was resistant to doing something. I was really just getting started on a project that is part of my reaching my ultimate goal here. And I realize now that the conversation Cindy and I had in the after show, if you will, was about shiny objects. And I was... Well, it was, and I'll tell you why it was, because sometimes I get stuck on the thought of what a shiny object is, which is something really, really cool over here, or, something very, very different over here. And what I was doing was, my shiny object was purposeful overwhelm. And what I had done was I had made sure that I had set myself up to have multiple things with a similar deadline. which gave me the excuse to not start something, and which meant nothing got done. Classic procrastination, right? And I recognized it though, because, and that's the way I called it. I looked at him, I said, well, you silly little shiny objects, you. You know, and that's what I'm realizing was because of the conversation Cindy and I had. So recognizing it and getting it out of the way instead of sitting in it and 6 weeks later wondering why nothing got done.
I wonder if some of these problems we have with focus, i.e. attention deficit, i.e. Some of these things that we label so radically and I believe overextensively is just inability and lack of training on focus.
Well, I think that is an interesting thought. And I would want to see it further developed. I'd like to learn more about that because it actually makes sense to me when I see people. I have met adults with true attention to ADHD, and I've met those that have been diagnosed that I'm looking at them saying, you're using this as an excuse. This is, I've seen it in action, right? I've seen with the disabling effects of it in the children. And I've only seen it once or twice, but I see a lot who are diagnosed.
I think my dad was the greatest teacher that I know because they labeled me with everything in school. I'm so sick, was so sick of labels that I couldn't even see straight, literally. No, but he took me hunting, and he saw that I had a lack of focus. And so he pulled me aside and said, do you want the deer? And I said, yeah, I want it. And he said, well, then shut up, sit down, and focus.
Get the deer.
Sit down and stare into the woods. I don't want you to do anything but just look. Mm-hmm. And so I did. I sat on the stump. We're sitting in this big open field, and we're watching the tree line. And all of a sudden, if you're staring, your eyes catch movement. And we're starting to see the deer come out of the... And it was a great life lesson to me, to just as a kid especially, just to sit there and be able to daydream, if you will. I mean, he said, make sure you're staring as focused. Pick one part of the forest, one part of the tree, and just stare. And so I did, and your eyes naturally just catch movement. Mm-hmm. And it was phenomenal, and I got the deer.
That's a heck of a lesson for all of us, isn't it? Because you just described what we've been talking about here. The desire was to get a deer. What did it take?
Don't be afraid to daydream.
Well, that's just it. Daydream and then bring it down to it can happen. You just needed to be told how to make it happen. And once you were told, you were able to do it and harness the desire so that whatever actions were needed, you were able to do because the desire was strong enough.
Yeah.
And that's where the burning part comes in. It's a burning desire to get this done. And yes, Cindy, overwhelming. It was quite effective on my procrastinating. Yes. Hi, Steve. Good to see you. So the seats are open. Anybody wants to jump in and talk about focus, talk about turning that dream and from a wish into that it really can happen. And now it's a desire that's backed by faith and belief. And it becomes our major definite purpose. And it's persistent. This is what I want. This is what I'm going for. It is strong. And nothing's going to sway me from it. It's the only time it's okay to be one-track mind.
Well, I'll jump out because I got stuff to get done.
Okay, terrific. Thanks for jumping in, Brian. Appreciate that.
Have a great day.
You too. Go get some more coffee. Enjoy a cup. Seats are open. Please join me. Let's have a discussion. They call it blab for a reason. We all get to blab on it, right? So do each of us have something that we really, really have a burning desire to attain? I do. And I think that having spent time with you has... Craig, hey, good to see you.
Morning,
Hi,
Charlene.
Steve.
Hiya.
Thanks, guys. Good to see you. So what do you think?
After you,
Well,
Craig.
Yeah, I'm trying to not be too distracted by driving here. So
Yes, please be careful on the blab and drive. I don't care for blabbing and driving. It's not a positive thing.
I won't be looking at the camera much. So, but I'm sitting
Thank
at
you.
a light right now. So,
Okay.
I'm relating to your story from yesterday. Actually, I just jumped in, so I didn't catch any of the stuff this morning. So, but relating to your story yesterday, and it was kind of nice to get some background to know exactly where you're coming from, and it was very inspirational for me to watch and listen to, because I'm always up for, I'm I'm in that go between. I'm doing the grind, as you can see, doing the daily grind. I don't get to work from home at this point, and
Not yet.
have several dreams and want to do my best to make a success for myself and my kids and
Right.
everything else. So I'm looking for that inspiration all the time, and I tell you, Blab, between Periscope and Blab, it's really just changed my mindset on a daily basis. So
How's that?
just because you're around, you're just so much positive influence from everywhere.
Okay.
Everywhere, everybody's sharing their story, how they made it through, pursuing that dream. And I'm frustrated, and I spent a lot of my time frustrated in the last couple of years because I have desires to move on, either where I'm at in my business, my current job, or do my own business, or you name it. So,
and I'm hearing all the ors, either this or that, or this or that. We're not doing so well on focus at the moment.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about it. We've had a personal conversation, and I've got it down to 3 areas. So,
Ooh, hey, that's an improvement.
yeah,
now to get it down to one. Focus on the one and get that going. And there may be room for the others, but you may not want the others once you focus on the one.
Yeah, very true. So.
And that is I understand the difficulty in doing that. I truly do.
Yep.
Because there's, do I really want this? And mine didn't happen. That burning desire didn't hit me until over a year ago. Where it was a burning desire of what I want ahead of me. Up until then, it'd been what I was running away from.
Right. Yeah, that was, and I related specifically to that. I just want out. I want to work from home. I want to work on my own schedule, and I
Right.
a lot of people just focus on, well, that means I just get to do whatever I want to do. No, I'm not an idiot. I understand that, your schedule is still dictated, but it's dictated from my desire of what I want to do and, accomplish.
You're okay with the schedule. See, this is what happens is I'm perfectly okay with the schedule it dictates.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm perfectly okay with that. For instance, is tonight I'm doing an 8:00 blab, and it's and I never get on blab at night, but I'm doing it because it's a test. I have a university in town that wants me to, instead of bringing me in physically to talk with the students, wants me to do it from live stream so that we can showcase the platform so they can learn. Right. And I said, well, then the class is actually at 6:30, but he's not going to have time to test. I said, we're going to be putting through some tests here and determining the format, And yes, Steve. I'll get there in a second. So tonight we're going to be doing the testing. I don't do many things at night. I'm not a night person. I've been up since 3:30 this morning. I actually got up even earlier, and I've been active and I've been busy. I've gotten a lot done, especially when I realized what I did to myself yesterday. So I got started on some things, and so I've already planned out, though, because of that schedule, that I'm going to have to take a really big nap in order for me to have the energy I need at 8 o'clock tonight. It's just going to have to happen,
I guess so.
But I know that, and I'm okay with that. Now, if you were my boss at a previous job telling me that I'd have to drag my butt, and this has happened over the years, especially when I was in event planning, holy moly, I'm going to have to get there, and I'm going to have to stay until midnight and break down and all this stuff. I'll do it because it's part of the job, but it certainly isn't with the energy I'm going to have tonight. There's not going to be near the energy, So, yeah, I get that. I totally get that. So it's well, what was interesting with Cindy and I'm not ignoring you, Steve, but you're eating, so I'm going to let you eat and take up space for a moment. Cindy and I were talking about yesterday that was so helpful to me was the recognition that I had the ultimate desire. I just didn't have the details of what it meant to get there. So I had the ultimate desire, which was freedom. I wanted freedom of movement, so I wasn't location dependent. I wanted freedom of a schedule that could suit me, because honestly, at the time when I even began the desire to step out on my own, I was so physically ill that, no, I'm not going to have you with that accent. Have you eat and speak at the same time? All right. But anyway, freedom, it wasn't even financial freedom, because I had the finances. That wasn't the issue when I first stepped out. It was the emotional, wrenching for me to be out in the jobs I was doing. But physically, my body was literally breaking down. And it was, because I was in the wrong places, doing the wrong things. So I wanted that freedom to be able to really, what most important to me, it wasn't the freedom to work from home, to be able to do what I wanted to do, like Craig says. It literally was be able to be useful to the world in some capacity while I was stuck at home, physically ill and incapable of walking out the front door. So that was the process of thinking that got me to what can I do to do that? And honestly, I was right where you are, Craig. I didn't care what it looked like.
Yeah, exactly.
Just get me the hell out of here. I didn't care, Yeah, and so just putting it out there, it got me started. And then I wrestled with that until 2013, and then started getting really, really focused on the why I'm doing this, outlining it even more clearly, and then using the techniques of Napoleon Hill to get me out of that survival mode, which has been the past few years, and into growth mode. Step by step, just do it. Like Steve said earlier, just do it. All right, Steve, are you done eating? Can you share with us?
Yes, I can
excellent.
share.
Yoo-hoo.
Hello, Charlene. Hello, Craig. Hello, Room.
Hello.
That's quite a good intro for me. I just want to be on topic for a second. I just wanted to say that, when you are following your dream, if the dream's a long journey as well, as in my one, I'm making a film, every time you get to the next step, that's the reward that propels you into the next piece of the dream.
Yes.
It's self-encouragement from that point of view. And today, I'm very excited because today I'm editing the audio of a friend of mine who's acting as a thug, and it's really hilarious. And so I guess, okay, that's a personal bit. But in terms of all of our journeys, that another little nugget that goes, yes, it's happening, and it just encourages you.
It does. Where I can relate to that is after I got my first client. It made it real when I got my second one. No, it's not just happenstance. I didn't just get lucky. Then I got a third one. Oh crap. And then I got a fourth one. How cool is that? Right.
Very cool.
So, and you're right. It's those little things that kept me going especially in the beginning towards, I can really do this. This can really happen. And thank you for the reminder. I want to remind everybody it is Wednesday, which means I'm going to be shutting the room down about 5 minutes early because I host a business networking meeting. It's online. You're all welcome to join. There's a join link. Of course, I'm not there right now, so the room's not open. But it is where we as professionals listen to a presentation, do some Q&A, and introduce ourselves and share contact info. And it's an excellent way to meet professionals from around the country and around the world and to grow your business. You never know who you're going to connect with. Right, boys?
Is that your Zoom meeting?
That's Network Live virtually. Yep. I did post the link.
Can you post a link for us tardy late people that have only just come in?
It's right there, Steve.
There is it. Okay, that really is slow on my behalf there. Another first for Blab.
Now, was it slow in you seeing it or slow in coming to your screen? No,
slow in me being slow.
All right, fair enough. Well, you are in a different time zone.
It is a different. It's raining here. It's miserable. It's cold, but I'm feeling.
Well, I've got all that. Okay. All right. So let's get back to discussion. So, Steve, you've had this project. Is this this is the big project, right? Your personal project?
Of my life.
Okay. This is the one that you're excited about with the audio, with the friend playing the thug?
Yes.
Okay. So how long have you had that on the burner before you were able to see opportunity to actually begin working on it and have it come to fruition?
The project?
Yeah.
I've been building up to this.
I've
been building up to it all my life. I started in music as an 18-year-old. Always interested in graphics. I was a games programmer. But then you don't have to. But I chose to go the corporate route for many years, to pay the mortgage off and, just not worry so much about money. Although money's always a worry. Where are we heading with this? Oh, yeah. So I was building, and then bam, the big idea comes. And then you've got the choice. Are you going to pursue it with all of the danger, uncertainty, fear, and rewards that are out there, or are you going to back off? And I decided I'd lived long enough. If I back off of this one, I'm done. So I can't allow myself to get older without attempting one of these crazy plans. So that's why we're going for it, Charlene.
Outstanding. Now, when that happened, though, is that hasn't been your entire sole focus, has it? You've done work for others in the meantime. Am I right?
Yeah, unfortunately, bills still have to get paid, and so we're sort of scraping along doing other stuff when we have to.
But the focus really is you've got the burning desire to see this to fruition, to its completion.
Burning desire. Just an inner feeling that I don't know what's going to happen with it, but I just know that this is it. This is the moment in my life where it all comes together. Everything I've studied comes together, bang, and then we see what happens with it. Okay. And that is incredibly motivating because you think it's a mixture of delight and fear because you think, crumbs, I'm never going to make it. Yes, I am. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. And every day is up and down like that. That's the journey.
It's so refreshing to hear you say that because, yes, I'm right in the middle of that. That was one of the reasons why I procrastinated like I did yesterday is because if I break through and get this part done, it's like opening up the flood. And then this part of the project's going to be done, and I really can launch what I want to launch in January. Not this time next year, January. So.
That's right. I don't know if you can relate to this, but this is a true story. Once a bird got trapped in my chimney of my previous house, and my mother and father came round, and they said the best way to get rid of a bird is you open up the grill to allow it to fly out, and you open the windows. And you draw the curtain so only one window is visible. You shut the door and you just leave it. And Yeah, we came in about an hour later, and sure enough, the bird was sitting on top of the window, looking back into the room as if to say thank you, and then it flew off. You know?
Huh.
And
Oh,
sometimes,
how fortunate you were. That didn't happen with us. Go ahead.
oh, don't say it was a horror story. It was flapping around forever and it died. No, that's not what I wanted to leave you. That's not the image I wanted to leave you with.
No, actually, the image is I had. The image is this. At the time, we did exactly that. My husband, 5'4", 140 pounds, iron worker. Okay, stout, wiry, but as strong as an ox. And his coworker was staying with us, and his nickname was Cheese. And my husband's nickname is Munchkin. Don't tell anybody. Little fella. So Cheese comes in probably around 6 foot, weighed in probably about 250, 260, solid muscle, iron worker, could easily pick me and my husband up. Not a big deal, right? So there's the bird. How are we gonna get rid of the bird? Figured out that one way not to do it, according to Cheese, was to have a sheet and open the grill and catch it on its way out. Or open the front of, it was a wood burning stove, open the front of the stove, because you open the door, it starts to fly and Cheese flies away. And so you have these big burly men running through the house now with the sheet trying to catch a bird, but don't want to get too close to the bird, because every time this big man would get close to the bird, he'd panic. And sorry. So it wasn't the bird, it was the fellas. It was hysterical. Absolutely hysterical. I was really glad we were on a slab too. I got to tell you, the pounding that floor took with these guys going boom, in their work boots through the house. It was hysterical. And eventually what happened was they calmed down, and the bird did. It found the open window that we had for it, the one and only place to go, and it just took off.
Okay. So in my case, the point of the story, and I was relating it back to us as humans, is the bird was perched. It could have flown away, but it had to make the decision to go for it at that moment.
Yeah, I like your story better, because my story was we forced the bird out. We made the environment so awful that we forced the bird out and wore ourselves out in the meantime. But you just gently offered, here's another way. And there the bird sat saying, well, which way do I really want to go? And made the decision, right?
That's right. And what I'm trying to say is we are the bird in the story. Yeah. And then we can sit on the fence thinking, I know I've got freedom right in front of me, but you have to make the step out to take it.
See, I love that, because you just described, I just described with the fellas that's where I was until 2013, running away from something, feeling like I'm forced away from something, feeling forced into what I'm doing now. Even though that's what I wanted, it didn't matter. The feeling was still running away from, because the environment was so bad. Gotcha. And then I saw the opportunity, like you just described, to be able to, now I have a choice. And what is that choice going to be? Which way am I going to go? I could stay where I was and stay in that I'm going to be propelled forward by fear and by anger and by anxiety, or that's the environment I could have stayed in, or I could select the one that's more comfortable and more natural to me and move forward with that, which is exactly what happened to me. I love the story, Steve. I'm gonna use yours from now on. I love that.
Well, both of our stories work in conjunction. That's the interesting thing. Force it, or sit on the opportunity and take it.
Yeah, that's just it. Cindy, yeah, I liked it too. We have to make a choice and go for it. We do, but what I saw was I have a choice that I can move forward with in a direction that's much easier, much more aligned with who I am, much more aligned with and relaxing. Quite honestly, it's not nearly as stressful. This is not nearly as stressful this past year as it was up through 2013, and I haven't made as much money. I made enough, and we're going to be making a lot more. Trust me, that's in my major definite purpose. But the stress level has been very, very different because of the type of work that I'm doing, which is much more aligned with and in line with who I am, and like a natural environment. That's what I saw you expressing with where the bird was going. Go where more natural fit, or try to make yourself fit. I like that.
Very cool. Well, I see there's 10 minutes till you're on Zoom, so I'm going to finish my sandwiches and then join.
Are you going to join us?
Yeah.
Oh, excellent.
Nice to see Craig as well.
Okay. Thank you for being here. Anybody else want to jump in? Say hey.
Yeah, I'm going to jump out myself. So it was great talking to you this morning.
Same here, Craig. Glad you could make it. Maybe you can make it tomorrow. Be good to see you again.
Definitely.
Okay.
I tune in. I got an hour to kill every morning, so just driving.
May as well kill it with us.
Exactly.
Well, I'm glad you dropped in.
Great way and a new way to make use of my hour. So
it is. I'm glad you're with us.
Yep. All right. We'll see you tomorrow.
You have a good one. Okay. Oh, yes. Humans will allow fear to keep us in the dark. Oh my goodness, yes. And it seems to be a human trait, isn't it? It seems to just be a human trait. It's easier to focus on the negative. It just seems easier to pick out the dark. To say that I can't when I have a dream instead of saying, why, sure I can. Oh, sure I can. I mean, if it were easy, I'd have done this 40 years ago when I was, 10 years, an early teenager, for goodness sakes. Yet I didn't. Okay, so therefore here I sit. What am I going to do with it? What am I going to do with myself? Well, you guys are seeing part of what I'm doing with myself. You've been a part of my personal growth here, trying to break out, needing to break out of the prison of the mind, keeping myself back. Oh, do you? Well, that's terrific, Brian. All right. I'd love to see it. Here is my email. I got 2 other people who came up to me or found messages this morning, said, well, I'm going to be working on something. Let's see what we can come up with. So, okay. So, yeah, I'd love to see it. So, anyway, yeah, focus. And I can focus on single projects until they're done. I can do that. It is the focus of that ultimate desire that always tripped me up. What the end result is that I'm working towards. And it's all well and good that I have a picture. Yes, it is. Steve, it's the engineer in me. Very task-oriented, process-oriented. I'll fix the process. If I see it's broken, I'll get distracted by that. All right. But so I have a picture of the RV. Hubby and I are going to be living in. I have a picture of the view from the RV that I fully intend to be seeing from the window of the RV. I have, we have boxes of things marked as this is what's going in the RV. I have the outline of the accounts that I'll be opening to handle the additional monies coming through and know where the money's going to go. So I've got things in place. I didn't have those in place before. And so that's making a difference. But really, ultimately, it is my being able to think beyond today, next week, 2 weeks. And I know I can share with you, part of that comes from there were multiple times throughout my life when I didn't know I would have a next month. So it can be easy, I guess, for me to mentally get into the state. And it's not survival as much as realization that all I have really truly is today. So even if I plan for 2 years from now, it was always, that's a nice dream, because right now it's not looking good for me to get to next month. Literally, the body just isn't going to make it. And it does. And then there comes a point where, and it's been quite a few years now where I haven't had to think like that. And I'm very, very grateful. And yet still, the mind will go back there. So I know that's part of the survival mode I'd gotten into. I know how to do that. I know how to get through. And now I'm out of that, and it's very freeing and very different. And I'm glad you guys are all a part of it, because left to my own devices, I'd be right back there because it's more comfortable. So So today, projects that are in direct correlation to a causation. How's that? There's the effect that will cause my major definite purpose to happen. And that is the switching that has happened for me, and that which I'm really glad we had this discussion this morning. I'm so grateful you guys came on, Brian and Steve and Craig, to help me. When I blabber, that's how I hear myself, right? I hear myself talk, and I talk through things, and I realize that I do have the vision of what I'm working towards. And when I allow a little bit of procrastination to get in the way, I'm able to recognize it pretty quick now, whereas before I'd have gotten caught up in it. Not bad. Alrighty, so I must say farewell. I'm going to stop the recording. This is Charlene Burke with Grow Because You Know. Thank you, everybody, for joining me on the live stream and in the comments section for Morning Mindset Cafe, happening every weekday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Let's move forward in the day on purpose with purpose to grow our hearts, grow our minds, and grow our businesses.